Welcome to Dominate Your Day podcast. This is the podcast that adds value to leaders who want to make a difference in the workplace. We believe each person is unique and has a purpose they can live out every day and make an impact in the world. Here at Dominate Your Day podcast, we hear stories from leaders who have used their unique talents to transform themselves and their companies from the inside out.
Well, I'm very excited today to have with me Dianna Kokoszka. Did I say that right, Dianna Kokoszka?
You're right. Just say Dianna K.
Dianna K. Yeah. I was like, man, I can keep practicing it, but we'll see. But we're excited to have you. Dianna has had a interesting career and continues to have a very interesting career. And I love how you're reinventing yourself in different seasons of your life, Dianna. So why don't you talk to us about how you got into real estate and then what that propelled to the next thing and then what you're doing now?
Well, Dana, I appreciate that. And first of all, I appreciate you having me on the podcast. I know a lot of people follow you and are learning many things about leadership and how to help other people. And I truly believe in adding value to others because I think we're here to serve one another. A lot of times people think leadership is, I've reached the top right now. Everybody's there to serve me. And it's really where we're there to serve them. Leadership is servanthood. And so I can spot a leader, as you can, Dana, in a crowd. They're the ones that are always serving other people, getting up to help other people. Mm-hmm. And I go, that's a true leader in the progress. So let's start out with how I got into real estate. I had been told over and over again as I was going through college, majoring in physics and math, how I should be in real estate. And I went, well, that's interesting because I did telemarketing. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college, as most people did. Telemarketing, selling home care products, and at the Holiday Inn. Eventually, I was able to give up the Holiday Inn and work in the physics lab. And I was so excited to learn about energy and how it can't be transferred, it can be transferred or transformed. It can't be created or destroyed. And that started me thinking about real estate. And let's face it, I could sell a bottle of home care products and make 90 cents, or I could sell a house and have a great commission, right?
Yeah, so absolutely.
I was interested in that. And I didn't have the money to pay for a real estate school. And one evening, my son, he was not feeling that well, and I was up with him, as many mothers are, early in the morning, and I just could not stay awake, even though he would cry. And so I turned on television thinking, that'll grab my attention and I'll stay awake and be there for him. Well, lo and behold, PBS was having an auction, and it was music to my ears when I heard it come on that a real estate course was being auctioned off. And so I grabbed my checkbook, Dana. I looked in and I had $50 that I felt that I could bid. Well, here's $1,000 plus class, and I'm going to bid $50, right? And all I could hear is my mom and dad's voice in my head going, you don't go after it, you'll never get it, right?
Yeah.
So I picked up the phone and I bid on this real estate course. And I think it was because it was about 2 a.m. that nobody else was interested in real estate. Lo and behold, I won. And the next morning I went, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I mean, I have 2 kids and I can't even afford a babysitter. How am I going to do this thing called real estate? Needless to say, there were men in the real estate. It was pretty dominated by men. I went to 12 offices before I had one that said that they would allow me to be their token woman, so to speak, right? I went to one and they said, we have Emma Curtis. See, I still remember the names. The other one, they had Marilyn Getch. And I went, those women are so lucky to have somebody that believed in them. And the more people, Dana, that would offer me a secretarial position back in those days, that's what they were called. And it just fueled the fire. I wanted some way, somehow, for someone to believe in me enough to hang my license and give me a chance to work with them. Well, it was about 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. And I remember looking at the broker, Sam Bright was his name. And I said, look, by the time I go home tonight, I'm going to be working somewhere selling real estate. I would love for it to be here because I've got to get home to my kids. And he said, okay, we'll take a chance. And I was the second woman in that office, and boy, I was going to make it. Well, I found out I couldn't bring my kids to work with me. So there I was. I put them in a red wagon and I started going door to door. And I would talk with anybody that would talk with me. Lo and behold, that first year, while the average agent was selling 5 homes in the Denver market, God blessed me enough to sell 104 homes my first year, which was
unheard of. Gosh. Yeah.
And I thought it was normal. I mean, because the people, I think when you add value and it's about the person helping them get their goals, which is what you do each and every day, all of a sudden people want to help back. It's that law of reciprocity. When you have your hand out to give to somebody else, it's open to receive back. But when you're like this, there's no way you can receive anything. And so I just started going forward as life would have it. I then started writing training programs, became a broker, opened up my own office. And I got to tell you, then there's this thing that we start believing our own press, Dana. You've probably seen it with people when their ego starts kind of taking over. And I hate to admit it, yet I'm sure that's what happened to me because I was riding high. I mean, I was making money. I was taking care of things. By this time, my sister's 2 kids were living with me because she had some health issues. Everything was going my way. I loved cars. I had 4 cars and I was the only driver in the house because I was a single parent, for heaven's sakes. I didn't watch my finances. And it was my fault. I had hired someone who knew I wasn't watching my finances. And yet, guess what? She was. She watched them really well, all the way to her own bank, right?
Oh, wow.
I had 72 houses that I was taking care of. And it was a property management division. What we would do is she would collect the rents. We'd pay the mortgage companies and the sellers their portion, and we would keep a portion for ourselves. Well, it didn't quite work that way. All the mortgage checks I wrote out, she threw in the trash. She put all the rent checks in her own bank account, and she sent the checks to the sellers. So the sellers were happy. They would call and tell her that they had the mortgage companies calling them, and she'd say, oh, that's okay. We'll take care of the late pay. And she would tell me how, oh, I had problems. Look how stupid I was. I mean, it was all on me. And so there I was one day, my accountant who had been on a mission trip for 3 months called me and said, I need to meet you today. It was like 6 a.m. I said, what are you calling me so early? I'll get to the office when I drop the kids off at school. Well, when I got there, it wasn't pretty. He said, you're broke. Dana, I went to an appointment that night. I sat on the board of directors for I almost said the name of it, a county of realtors, right? And I came out that night. It was about 11 when the meeting got over. I didn't have a car. And president of the board used to be a police officer. So he's on the phone calling and I'm going, don't call, because I know what's happening, right? And he announces to everybody, Dianna, your car wasn't stolen, it was repossessed. And so now you talk about somebody with an ego, it's like all of a sudden you're standing there naked to the world, right?
Oh my gosh.
Everybody hearing your car is repossessed. And so to add fuel to it a little bit, and I know people meant it in such a funny way, only it wasn't funny to me when they would say, hey, if you're going to a party, don't go with Dianna Kokoszka. You might not have a ride home. And so I got to tell you, this is where I learned the value of friendship. Because I sold my offices. I had 4 of them and we were doing very well. Well, word got out. I sold everything for pennies on the dollar. You know how that goes. I sold my 4 cars, which meant I didn't have a car. I had friends that allowed me to borrow their cars to show buyers real estate because I went back to selling. And it was so funny because people would go, how many cars do you have? You have a different car every day.
Oh my gosh.
If anybody's hearing this and they're going, I can't believe that she was that crazy. Yes, I was. And there's 2 lessons in this. First of all, visit your money often.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first one. Second of all, work to stay humble, right?
Yeah.
Realize that there's always somebody else that's helping you out. And I don't care what your religious beliefs are, whether it be the universe is helping you, God's helping you, or a friend is helping you, there's always somebody else there. And it's not always about us. So at that point, I started a thing that I still have today. Now, today I have it on my phone because of all the technology we have. At 7 a.m., my phone goes off, Dana, and it says, what will you do to add value to others today? And at 7 p.m., my phone goes off and says, what did you do to add value to others today? So in a way, it's a way to help hold myself accountable and able to doing what I believe my purpose is here on earth. Now, to fast forward, yes, I went back to selling real estate. Yes, I did a great job. I paid everybody off. I did not take out bankruptcy, which I did think about over and over again. Yet the blessings that came out of that is I became a fierce negotiator because I had to negotiate with every single one of those banks and mortgage companies. All the sellers got paid back in full. I didn't have caller ID on the phone, so every phone call I had to take, I did not know. You talk about anxiety and stress, and I got to tell you, I love Wendy's. Now, this is the reason. They had those big bowls of crackers out that when you bought their chili, you got the crackers. And I would go in and I'd say, would you mind if I had some of your crackers? And they'd go, oh, no, take as many as you want. Notice they don't have crackers out anymore. You only get 2. It's probably because of me, because I would take those crackers every time they give them to me. And a lot of times that was my dinner while my kids had whatever I could fix for them. That's another blessing. I learned how to take a roast and make about 10 different meals out of it, right? So it's amazing. The things that we think sometimes is, oh, poor woe is me. We can choose to go into victimhood. We can choose to be a villain and say it's all her fault, right? And my dad said, Dianna, anytime you point the finger that way, you have 3 more pointing back at you. Odds are 3 to 1, it's your own fault. Just take responsibility and move on. So
that's great advice.
Lessons came out of that. That was a long answer to a very short question. So
no, but I think there's a lot of lessons in there, and you summed it up with, watch your ego, watch your finances, and how you learned how to negotiate during the midst of all that. And I never once heard in your story anything about the person that betrayed you with the finances. You were all about what are you going to do next and how are you going to get through it? So so you stayed in real estate, it sounds like, and you continue to grow in your success. How did you get into the coaching and building the coaching programs and masterminds? How did that happen?
Well, I had various companies obviously wanting to come after me to get me to go with them because of my sales and what I was accomplishing. It came to a point where I went from success to significance, where it was all about me and how much I could make, to all of a sudden, how much can I give back because I've been blessed so much. So I became what is called a team leader within Keller Williams. And I was there for about 11 months, and they called and asked me to come to international and take over what was called MAPS Consulting at the time. So I went there, I looked at what they were doing. They were losing money at that point. And I said, yeah, I'll take this on. And from there, I was just able to, through my leadership and the team that I formed, we were able to build the largest coaching and training company. We also went on through a BOLD program that I wrote and coaching skills camp and other things at the Keller Williams University. The company worked together and became the top training company in the United States, actually in the world, up against Nordstrom's and everybody, right?
Awesome.
And we did that for 5 years. It was through T125. And once you're in 5 years, you're in the Hall of Fame. So we accomplished the things that we desired to accomplish. Yet out of all those awards, the Stevie Award, the Prism Award, top 10 coaches in America, all these things happening, Dana, the real excitement of that was watching people come on board as a client and grow, and then become a coach and help others grow. And it was just all about value add and opportunity. And I think as leaders, we have a drive, and we should be driven to help create opportunity for others, to help them become all they can be, to help develop other leaders. And that was the one thing I was the proudest of, is people that would get leadership positions because of what they had learned. And not just from me, what they had learned from all of us working together. And I learned that it's about having that love for the people and yet giving them a good swift kick when they needed it, right? It's the care and candor working together. And a lot of leaders just want care, and others just want candor. And it's very interesting, because care without candor, it creates a dysfunctional relationship.
Absolutely. Yes. In fact, that was a big topic this week in some of my coaching calls this week with leaders, of how to be radically candor. We went through several of the, how do you care? And then how do you challenge? And that's exactly what you're talking about. I would love to hear, because that's a hot topic right now, but I would love to hear what you saw over your years of leading this coaching group, leading these masterminds. What were some of the top key lessons that you brought from that time that you feel like that you continue? It might be the care and candor. It might be the success to significance, success to significance. But what are the things that you learned over that time that are just the tried and true that you've been talking about, bringing value? That seems like a constant theme that I'm hearing from you. But there's a lot of people out there right now coaching. There's a lot of people moving from corporate into coaching, because they're designing their new career where they can have the flexibility and the travel and what they want to do when they want to do it. Don't know all the ins and outs of owning their own businesses. But what do you think is the best advice you could give those people that are just starting out that you've learned over the years as a coach?
I think the number one is, just because you were good at what you did does not make you a great coach for anyone. You can be a great mentor and a great trainer. Coaching is a whole different thing. And when we go back to that care and candor, I think it's knowing when to apply it, because just candor without caring, well, that just makes a distant relationship, right? And we don't want that either. If we have caring with candor, it creates a developing relationship. And that's what we all want as leaders or trainers or coaches or mentors, whatever, even a consultant, right? And caring values the person, while candor values the person's potential. And so I think that caring establishes a relationship while candor expands the relationship. Now, that was taught by my mentor, John Maxwell. He's been my mentor for over 25 years, and I know people have recognized that when I say it. Yet it's listening and learning and being able to share that with others. It's also about asking great questions, because I truly believe every single person is creative, resourceful, and whole, and they have the answers inside themselves. So number one, you've got to care more about people than you care about yourself. That's with any position if you want to excel, right?
That's right.
The other part that I would say is you got to know the person. For example, there was one gentleman, and I would never do this with other people, yet with him, I knew I could. He was really excited because he was making $400,000, right, selling real estate. And he was the number one agent, and he was getting all these awards. And he said, "So what do you think?" I said, "Congratulations on your awards. You're doing fabulous." And he said, "Oh, thank you." I said, "You know what concerns me?" And he said, "What?" And I said, you're a $1 million producer cleverly disguised as a $400,000 producer. Well, that didn't go over real well. Yet I knew who he was. I knew it would light a fire inside of him. And I had to give him that spark because there was nobody else that was even competing with him. He was here and all the other people were selling down here. So who did he have to give him that big kick? Like I said, I wouldn't have said that to everyone, yet I knew I could to him. Now, today, that same gentleman is making over $4 million a year.
That's awesome.
It's knowing you got to see the potential inside of people, and you've got to see it and allow them to borrow your belief in them until they have the belief in themselves. And it wasn't like I just said it and walked off. I stayed in touch with him. I offered different suggestions to him, and we're great friends to this day.
Awesome.
And he keeps saying, if somebody wouldn't have kicked me, I wouldn't have gotten out my comfort zone. And in the book I just wrote, and it's because of people like him that would say, would you please write a book? And Dana, it was so interesting. People would ask me and I'd say, oh, no, I don't have time. I'd make up all sorts of reasons, right? And I was sitting one night reading and this text came through. Thank you for what you've done. You know, when you help other people, they always thank you. And so I read that and they said, when are you going to write a book? And I texted back, thank you for the kind words. It's really great. And I went back to my book. And as I turned the page, there was John Kennedy's quote. If not you, who? If not now, when? Okay, I think I got it. And that's when I started writing the book. And this book is about becoming more. And the reason I bring this up at this point is because this gentleman had built a cage around himself, a cage of comfort that was all because of his thinking, his beliefs, values, etc., his mindset. And I started thinking, what was it that took me from not being able to afford a babysitter, putting my kids in the little red wagon, to the C-suite in the world's largest real estate company? And this book is full of research. It's a lot of how our brain works, which I've put it down into layman's terms instead of like a neuroscientist. The reason a lot of people say, well, you're not a doctor, you're not a PhD, you don't have any of those things. And I go, yep, that's right. And you can learn a lot about wars by reading about them. Yet you can learn a lot about wars by being in a foxhole under enemy fire, right? Well, my brother had a brain tumor, my sister had a brain tumor, and they are the ones that actually got me so excited about the brain and how it works. I started in 8th grade doing everything I could to learn about it. In my age, Yale had just opened up their therapeutic division. Neuroscience was at an all-time low. It was just starting out. It was like the new frontier. And I would read and devour everything I could. When I got into college, I almost went in that direction, other than I was fascinated by energy, which threw me into physics. With all of that happening, I thought there's nobody out there that I know of that has taken models, systems, energy, how the brain works, and smash this all together to help somebody get outside that cage of comfort, to actually know what to do and how to do it. Because we hear all the time, get outside your comfort zone. We know that means do something uncomfortable, yet has anyone told us how to do it, when to do it, how we build a habit doing it? Are we building the right habit to do it? And how is it affecting our mindset? And Dana, a lot of people think attitude and mindset are the same things, and they are not. Our attitude is a conscious thing. Our mindset is a subconscious thing. And so we even have an attitude and a mindset assessment. The mindset assessment, it's a fun thing, believe me. It hasn't gotten the stamp of approval, so to speak, from neuroscientists yet. We've got them out there wondering if somebody will give us that. Yet right now, we just say it's a lot of fun. You go through, you answer the questions, and it really tells you what percentage of your mindset is abundant versus scarcity. What part of is gratitude over entitlement. And this all came from doing a lot of study on mindsets and talking with great leaders around the world. When you Google mindset, Dana, you're going to find about 150 different mindsets. As I would interview people, talk with people, and I went back through my notes in real estate, and every month I would interview somebody that was a millionaire, multimillionaire, so I could see how they think, so I could think more abundantly. And I went through all of those and I went, what are the common mindsets that I'm finding here? And I find 8 that were limiting and 8 that were liberating. And I don't want to get into all of those, yet I can tell you, as you move from like scarcity to abundance, all of a sudden your thinking starts being different, and that cage, the door starts to open up. You start getting a new belief in yourself. And so this takes a model. Every chapter is full of models that you can follow if you desire to be more. And you already know a lot of people, you got to be it before you can do it or have it, right?
And it's such a hot topic right now, right? There's so many things coming out on mindset because people are realizing that they're responsible for it, not their leader, not their boss, not their spouse. And, the whole growth versus fixed mindset. And it's been our theme this month here at Dominate Your Day. So yes. And it's been funny because I had some group of female entrepreneurs say, let's do some research on limiting beliefs. And so we did, and we used a Rice research. He was a head of Rice research, and he helped us. And one of the things we found is that women that were just about to make 100,000 and women that were just about ready to make $1 million had the same mindset. Oh, they can't get right to that next thing. And it was like, whoa. And there were so many things in the limiting mindset. And I can send you the white paper we did on that. But what we learned is that it is exactly what you're talking about, Dianna. Exactly. And I love the fact that you're bringing your physics from long time ago to bring this in all together, right? This passion for physics and this passion for people and this passion for abundance versus scarcity mindset. I love how you're bringing it. So tell us when the book's coming out and how people can find the book.
Well, it's on Amazon right now.
It is. Okay.
It will be released October 31st. It's called Becoming More. You cannot get to better until you get to different. And you already know that. Until you go through the gateway of different, you don't stand a chance of having anything better in your life. So this literally does encompass, one of the chapters is about energy, the 4 energies that I have found that you need for success: confidence, optimism. You've got to be in the present energy, right? And the energy of gratitude, because you can't be in negativity and gratitude at the same time. You cannot have anxiety and be in gratitude at the same time. And I find that anxiety and depression, in the research I did, much of it is caused because we're comparing ourselves. We're comparing our insides to other people's outsides. We don't know what they're going through, yet we think we know what they're going through, or we don't have enough likes on social media, or somebody doesn't say our hair looks pretty, or whatever it is. It seems like people can go into depression for a lot of different reasons. And that was one of the chapters. It's on emotions and why our brain leads us in that direction and what we can do. It's a quick little exercise in the book that allows people to help themselves get through depression and anxiety. Now, obviously, we need clinical psychologists, we need counselors. I'm not saying people don't need that. All you need is my book. No, I just know my book has helped a lot of people. The models that are in that have helped many. They're proven models and systems. They're just not, oh, I think this will work. that the energy chapter is one of my favorite because it does talk about our financial thermostat, is what you were kind of talking about. We set that financial thermostat to a certain amount in our subconscious mind, and all of a sudden we get real close to it. And like a thermostat, it goes, can't go over, can't go over.
Yeah.
Turn on the air conditioner, let's bring that down. And we sabotage ourselves. And I'm going, that's what I want to help people break through. I mean, it's so much more fun I call it the be, do, have, give approach to life, because all of us get to a point where we want to give back. And maybe it's through time and money, because there's lots of people out there that can use it. You can't be poor enough to help the poor, right? You got to have money to help the poor. You got to have money. And right now I've been so fortunate to go with John Maxwell and many people to transform the world, going in and teaching kids values. It's literally just, Dana, it's so fun. It's like math in school. They have values taught as a curriculum right in the schools, and it's signed into the Constitution, because in other countries, presidents can go through like that, right? It's not like our democratic society. And so they sign it into the Constitution. They have these classes. Well, in South Carolina, Molly Spearman, she says, I'd like to do this. And she was a superintendent, decides to bring it into their school district.
Oh, wow.
Put it in the school. And it's where they learn values, implement values, lead with values. And these are the kids leading the sessions. Some kids even gave up recess. Now, I would never have done that. I got to tell you, I'm a recess kid, right? But they gave up recess to train these I lead classes. Well, bullying went down 27% in just 1 year. And so my heart's on fire about that kind of stuff. And yet they get the book to keep. Well, those books cost money. So you've got to give money. That's why I added the be, do, have, and give. Because I think when you start giving back to others, your life really lights up. It makes it so much fun. And I think everybody, I trust that they've heard on this podcast, life isn't always fun. There's a lot of things that happen to us.
Right.
Through the challenges that iron sharpens iron. It's through looking at those challenges, like, what can I do? Where can I go? How do I keep moving forward? And that's another part of the book that I just want people to be able to understand. They're not in this alone, that we can all go through this together, that there are models and systems we can implement in our life to help us through things. And to help us have a mindset, like when I had a situation where I had to have a biopsy done, and I went in, and of course I called the doctor. I was going on a trip, and he says, you've got to come in. And I said, no. I leave on the trip tomorrow. Just tell me on the phone what it is. And he says, well, I want to show you the x-ray. And well, you already know what that means. Yeah. You're not crazy, right? So all the way there, I'm going, okay, he's going to tell me something. I'm not sure what he's going to tell me. We'll be okay, though, either way. I go in, and of course, he uses the big C word. I go in, and he goes, let me show you the x-ray. And I said, doesn't matter. I've looked at enough brain scans doing my book. I've looked at enough things that when I see the x-ray, it may frighten me. I'd rather not see the x-ray, okay? So just tell me what it is. And his assistant went out of the room. Alma was her name. And she comes back in with this box of Kleenex. Well, by that time, he'd already told me what it was. And I just looked at her and I said, unless that Kleenex is for you, you get it out of the room. Because you're doing is you are bringing tears, because you're thinking, I'm going to cry. And if you're thinking it, your energy may make me do it. Get out. I'm going on a vacation tomorrow. What do we do? When do we schedule the surgery? What's going to happen? And he says, well, with you having, and I go, stop. Please don't say those words.
Good for you.
Can say, I'm not going to accept it. You can say the word breast cancer, and I can say, thank you, no. I will do everything I'm supposed to do. In fact, I was having a treatment this morning before you and I talked.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, the IV and whatnot. And it's, what are you going to claim in your life? And I'm not saying because I don't claim it, I don't have it. That's ridiculous.
Right.
What are you going to allow yourself to focus on?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I'm better than anybody else. I am not. What I can tell you is that there are certain things that we can do to help train our brain to not allow us to go down certain paths. That when our brain, what happens is, as you know, a thought leaves a neuron, travels along an axon, and of course there's dendrites and synapses and all that involved. I don't want to get into all of that, yet it hits another neuron. And the more we have that thought, the deeper it embeds. Like neuroscience says that nerve cells that fire together wire together.
Yes.
The greatest part that they tell us, though, is nerve cells that no longer fire together, no longer wire together. And so, like walking across the grass, if you keep walking the same path over and over and over again, pretty soon it has a rut and there's no grass there. And it goes deeper and deeper the more you walk over it. Well, that's like your brain. The more you keep concentrating on something, the more you're embedding that into your mind to where you cannot think the opposite. So every time I would start thinking about that, I would like snap my fingers and go, nope. And I would think the opposite. I'm getting better and better every day, right? I have faith over fear. I had different affirmations I would say. And so I think training our brain to go in a certain direction helps us overcome things, because life can be frightening. Life can be scary.
And you've hit it, in your story, you've hit some pretty hard moments with your kids and almost bankrupt and then health scares that you're talking about and how you've dealt with all of those. And it was your mindset that this whole time was training your mindset not to go there and knowing how to get yourself in abundance instead of in scarcity. And that's a kind of theme I'm hearing in your story. Is that correct?
I think my brother and sister helped me with that, because my brother's brain tumor, he 4 times they told him that he would not walk or talk. I mean, he literally had to learn how to do both from scratch again.
Wow.
He did. They would send him home in a wheelchair and say he would never walk again until the day he stood up and walked. It was surreal to just be there with them. And of course, his brain tumor was in where the reticular activating system and the cerebellum is. And then her brain tumor was behind the optical nerve, which encompassed the limbic and the neocortex portion of the brain. So between the two of them, I learned a lot about the things that we say to ourselves literally propel our story.
Absolutely. And what is that story you're telling yourself every day? And who are you listening to? Dianna, great journey you're on right now. As we get ready to close down, is there anything that you didn't get to share that's coming up for you right now that you want to share with the audience? Or anything as we want to make sure the audience get your book and read your book. Very inspirational time that we've had today as you've shared your story and how you've gotten through it and how now you're helping others. Anything coming up?
I appreciate that question. I really do. You ask great questions, Dana. I think the biggest thing is that no matter where you are in life, whether you're achieving at a very high level or you're believing you can't achieve it all, it really doesn't matter. And I don't care if you're a CEO or president or you're at stay-at-home mom taking care of the kids because you work just as hard. Believe me, I know you do. Is that you can always become more. No matter where you are, you reach this level and then there's a higher potential. You reach that level. And to look at the ceiling of today has to be the floor that you stand on tomorrow. And the book helps us do that. Many people believe they just have to do. I know. I'd go into classrooms and they would say, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. And I'd say, I can tell you what to do, yet if you don't have the same mindset and the same energy that I have, you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So I think we are in a society right now that we're addicted to learning and we're allergic to implementation, right? And so it's that from the learning to implementing it, because the learning happens in our neocortex, which we take it in and we have the learning. Then we implement it and we do it. And we do it so many times that all of a sudden it becomes a habit. And now we're being it. So we go from having it to doing it to being it. And then our life goes from being it to doing it to having it and abundantly more. So it's fun to just say, no matter where you're at, just become more, because that's why we're here, to always grow, always expand, always multiply. If that helps anybody, I just trust something I said today will touch somebody's heart to go after it, to not only become more for themselves, help other people become more as well.
Oh, that was so great, Dianna. Thank you so much. How can people reach you? What's the best place for them to reach out to you and learn more about you?
The best place right now is becomingmorebook.com. Okay. Becomingmorebook.com. And of course, on Facebook, Dianna Kokoszka, which nobody's
Dianna K. Yeah. That's right.
Dianna, right, 2 N's, Kokoszka, Kokoszka. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those. Love to connect with you and to hear your story, because everybody has a story. The greatest part is we get to make up where it's going. It's like we're the author, we're the creator, we're the character, the main character, I hope, not a character in somebody else's story. And, there is one thing I want to say, Dana. I'm just curious, did anybody tell you when you were growing up that you were writing your own story? Nobody ever told me that I was writing my own story.
I did have mothers and grandmothers that were very encouraging, but I don't think they ever said it that way. They never said that. No.
I never heard that either. And I started thinking about how many of us are in the storyline of somebody else. And if we let somebody else write our story for us, guess what? They're probably going to write one where we're serving them, right?
That's right.
So we've got to write our own story and allow servanthood to be part of it, yet we get to decide. And everyone right now, if I were to ask you, if your life was a book up to this point, how would it read? Would it be an adventure? Would it be a romance novel? Would it be a business book? Would it be a fairy tale? Would it be, unfortunately, a murder for hire, killing off all your dreams? I don't know, but it's your story. You get to write it, pick up the pen and make it a great one. That's how I'd like to end.
Oh, I love that, Dianna. Thank you so much. Such great content today. You dropped some great gold on the audience, and we are looking forward to following you and learning more and reading your book. So thank you for being here, and we wish you the best. Yes.
You have been listening to Dominate Your Day podcast. If you're ready to transform your life and workplace from the inside out, go to DanaWilliamsCo.com and set up a discovery call. We would love to connect with you and equip you with some helpful resources. Thank you for listening today, and please take a moment to subscribe to Dominate Your Day wherever you listen.